Okay, welcome. This is going to be our draft analysis for Moss Deep Pokemon Champions League Season 7. We're so grateful for everyone that signed up. We have 28 teams this time around, so there's going to be a lot to talk about. And here is our panel. So first we have Taylan, we have
Hi.
Josh, and we have Freddie.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hey.
We are going to be our panel. We're going to go through each team. We're going to look at a few different parameters and sort of thoughts and feelings for each team. So we're going to be looking at offense, defense, your hazard setting and removing, your sort of momentum and pivot options, and also just our general thoughts and feelings. So, we ready? We're gonna ready to crack open this sort of. I don't know where I was going with that metaphor. Let's just jump right. We have permanent weathers. Right. Let's move on to Conference Shore. I have them up here. If they want to load in, that would be great. Okay, Taylor, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Yes, because I have all the notes for this one. I don't have as many up-to-date notes for this team because the many trades have been made since I wrote them. But I feel like it plays pretty similarly still. I used to have a Mega Marwell, but now it's a King Gambit, and they're both just slow, bulky offense mons that hit really hard to everything. Ogapon Water is a nice pivot option. It's got the best defensive ability and type out of all the Ogapon forms. Cresselia is the bulky Pokemon. Shocks is a very nice pivot. Gigalith Weather is less important in this division, and I could see how this team might want to play into Sand, but I don't think Sand is going to be that important for the team. Crobat's very nice for the speeds here. Having that top speed really helps out this team. Sensor Scorch provides some nice defensive stats for it to complement Cresselia, really. Because it means you can run Spadef Cresselia and still have options.
It's got good coverage too.
Yeah. Speed tiers wise, I think it's got pretty good speed. Certainly it's better speed than when I was rating it last time because they now have a speed tier above 100. And Mega Glalie is there as well for that. So there will be trouble like outspeeding this team in that sense. Let's see.
Yeah, and it's offensively, it's just got really good options. Ogapon and King Gambit and Sandy Shocks give it really good offense, and Sandy Shocks as well. With Ogapon are good pivots. They can move around. Cresselia is a really obvious win condition because you can just stack coal mines and just clean.
Yeah.
So I think it's got.
This team has definitely made a lot of improvements with the trades, especially with hazards. Sandy Shocks and Gigalith actually like said hazards a lot more than the other hazard setters that were here before. And Sandy Shocks gives this team a lot more momentum. Although it could still, you've got Crobat, Ogapon, Lapple, and Sandy Shocks to get momentum options. I think as far as hazard clear is concerned, you basically have to run defog Crobat unless Driftblin's coming, so Crobat will probably be boots most games, so they can actually be a good defogger.
Yeah, and type-wise, it's not too bad. It has a few niggling weaknesses, but I think when you actually look at the stuff that's going to be coming most weeks, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
So I think
type-wise, but there's answers to each type defensively.
Yeah, so I think it's fine as a team. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's got decent offense and defensive options. It's quite nicely balanced.
Any other opinions?
Feel free to exist.
Sorry, I think fighting types would do well against the team because the Pokemon you've got to check it, you've got Crobat and Cresselia. But otherwise, like King Gambit, Gigalith, Meg Gailey, they're not too happy against fighting type. So I think bringing a strong fighting type will be key to beating this team.
Yeah, I mean, at least Crobat can take those fighting hits with its quad resistance and just roost them off again. But like a
Griff,
fighting type with coverage would be bad for Crobat.
something like a Scrafty would be problematic.
Yeah, Scrafty
I,
up from Kelder.
I quite like the defensive synergy of Crobat and King Gambit.
Hmm
They do complement each other very nicely.
And Drifblim's
You've
a
got
good
a ground
option as
fighting
well.
weak Pokemon that can. You've then got Crobat to complement those defensive issues.
Drifblim solves that fighting issue and is just a really good utility.
Yeah, Drifloon's got plenty of utility options and frees up Crobat if you don't want to run it defog for a game.
Yep. No Shaman losing, and Shaman is on the squad.
Oh
He doesn't-
dear, I didn't have a fun time against this team.
Yeah, Shaman's on the squad and doing a very nice job there, actually.
Yep. This is a team that wanted to be electric terrain and then didn't draft Coco and had to change some things around. But I actually think that it's come out on the other side quite nicely.
I really like this team. Yeah.
Lando T and Aleki make really threatening offense. They also have good defensive and utility options. Shaman is a Shaman, base 100s around the board.
Yeah, it can
They
be
can do
tanky, it can be offensive, it can hit hard with Seed Flare, and it's the team's best ground type check.
anything really. Jellicent, as we've said, is really good. It takes fire and water really well. It's good for Aggron and Mabostiff for being ghost type, so it can take the fighting. Inteleon gives it another good offense option, and Comfey's got some good utility.
Yeah, I think this team's just very solid all around. It's got nice defensive synergy all across its members. It's got nice speed tiers because we've got Regieleki and Inteleon to give you the speed, and then you've got Shaman and Comfey as your 100s. Lando can be Scarf if you want something that fits in a different range, and it will always hit hard.
Yeah. One thing I would say is that the grounded poison is Seviper. So, I mean, you've got Mega Aggron, but Toxic would be all right against this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's this team.
Oh, well, you do have all. You also got Shaman and Comfey as your clerics to get rid of status conditions. So his team has plenty of options to deal with that.
And welcome Jordan, who decided to hop in the group call without knowing what was going on.
I just want to see what's up.
We're doing our draft analysis. You can stay if you want.
Just might as well.
Josh, do you have any thoughts about this team?
I mean, I helped build it, so I'm kind of biased. But no, I like you say, it's a good balanced team. And I think it's just the right mix of bulk and offense, and the types work well.
I will mention something about this team. Fucking +2 +2 Mega Aggron speed with fully maxed out speed runs havoc through your opponent's team. Like
Yep.
genuinely, if he with 20% chip on like the majority of your opponent's team, that Mega Aggron just sweeps. If you run a very specific set, that's
It's
like
got
really unconventional.
it's got
Just
offensive
a
options.
140 attack.
Like no, like max speed, and then run autotomize, ice punch, like head smash and something else, and it just runs havoc once your opponent has like 20% chip minimum.
Yeah, it's definitely got the offense. I really like this team.
It's a solid team.
It's a very well-rounded team.
Yeah.
Okay, now we've got the Distortion World Dugongs.
This is my time to be biased because I helped build it.
My turn as well because it's my guy, Curtis.
I like this team. Urshifu obviously is always really good, and I think it pairs really well with Sylveon and Celesteela.
Yeah. Urshifu is very Urshifu just applies immediate pressure whenever it's on the field. Celesteela is a very nice defensive Pokemon and offensive threat, and it makes it really hard to build for because you can't answer both defensive and offensive Celesteela at once.
Yeah.
Sylveon is a very nice wish passer to help keep Urshifu and Celesteela healthy. Mega Manectric provides a much needed speed tip for this team. Gastrodon is a very nice special wall and hazard setter. Goodra is really bulky with plenty of offensive options. Chandelure is, I think, one of the best special attackers in Tier 4. And Gligar really helps this team. This team needs a physical wall, and it has to be Gligar here.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the ones we were seeing in Conference Space. It's like a bulky balanced team. You know, it's got bulk, but then a few really hard hitters.
Yeah. I think a few things that I could be improved this team. Momentum wise, you've got Gligar, Hershey, and Manectric, and that's it. And I think, on that regard, Gligar is doing a lot of the work here. Like, you've got Eldegoss as a rapid spin option, but if you don't want to bring Eldegoss, you've got to run Defog and Gligar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got lots of decent options. I think it's very good. Weakness wise, it's not got many. In terms of hazards, it's got good hazard setting. Gligar is going to be the defogger though, so you have to bring Gligar most games.
The only like issue I have with this team defensively, as far as type coverage is concerned, is it doesn't have a ghost resist or ghost immunity. But it makes up for that with just the sheer bulk of its walls. Like, it's going to be hard to break through no matter what.
Definitely.
And the only other issue I have with this team is the speed tiers. It's Mega Manectric, and then there's nothing else faster than 100.
Yeah. You can get around that though, because Urshifu loves to just trailblaze.
Urshifu can Trailblaze or Scarf. You can run Scarf Chandelure to make up for it.
But you're right that especially with Manectric being a mega, any kind of like Scarfer above 120 has a guaranteed speed tier.
Yeah. And it's not just that, it's that Mega Manectric doesn't get very good coverage, which means a lot of Pokemon can just be fast without having to worry about having something on the other team get outsped.
Yeah, but overall, I think it's a solid team. I think it's done well and will do well in the season. Valor Incineroars. Ooh. Taylan, do you want to lead us off on this one? Because I have some thoughts, but I will save them.
Yeah, I have some thoughts as well. First off, as far as offense is concerned, Speed Boost Blaziken and Mega Gyarados are both terrifying. And that means if you don't have a good physical wall, they are just going to tear through your team. Nidoqueen is a nice mixed option because of sheer force, making it deceptively hard hitting. So it's very good offensively, I think. But the issue comes to its defense, really. It's quite weak to ground. Noivern's the only non-tier 5 Pokemon that can be immune to ground here. Because Pidgeot's not very good. Shiinotic's alright as a tier 5, actually.
Shiinotic
then
is
it sort
very
of,
good.
but it combines with a rock weakness as well, where Nidoqueen is the only rock resist. And on top of that, your defoggers are Blaziken, Noivern, and Pidgeot. And those three issues combine to make this a team which has quite an exploitable defensive hole, where Noivern is doing a lot of the work. And if Noivern goes down, rocks are just free to do massive damage to a lot of their Pokemon.
Yeah, it would definitely be better to have a decent ground resist. Freddie, Jordan, you had things you wanted to say?
I think.
Yeah, I played this team last Sunday, and the Shinosik was quite annoying to say the least. Putting my Rotom Wash to sleep. Also that Noivern being really fast as well. That was a thorn in my side. Yeah, I had quite a hard time preparing against this team because it's quite well balanced. So I'm not too sure what strat they're going with. Yeah, and trying to cover all bases is quite difficult.
Definitely. I will say one
Yeah.
thing is if you give this team a single turn to set up, it's over.
Yeah, Dragon Dance Mega Gyarados just wins. Give Blaziken a turn to Sword Stance and it will just win. And Wish support from Umbreon will keep those two Pokemon healthy. But I think if you can make it a long game, this team will have a lot harder time.
Definitely. If you
Yeah.
can just either set up yourself or just find a way to, anything of unaware makes this team a lot less threatening.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Mega Gyarados is still threatening without setup, but
I feel like Auroras with Aurora Veil could also be quite good for like a hyper offense variant.
Oh.
yes, you do get Aurora Veil support from Auroras actually.
Because like with Aurora Veil, with a combination of Blaziken and Mega Gyarados, like they can just set up and sweep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
the speed tiers are pretty good for this team as well. Noiva and Raichu and Durant are all pretty fast. And Blaziken's basically its own speed tier as well because of speed boost.
Yeah, you just protect first turn and then you're just fine. I think it's an alright
Yeah.
team. It's definitely a hyper offense, as you say.
Yeah.
So if you can do that. Jordan, any
Yeah.
thoughts?
I have no thoughts, honestly. That like
Empty
that haven't
head.
been said already. Like all thoughts that I was thinking have been said already. It's a very like offensive team that like I think he picked his first three and I was like, oh, I need to have some like bulky and then picked Umbreon. Then went back to offense. I was like, oh shit, time to get bulky as well, like at the end. Then got Shinatsu and Dustin off.
Shenandoah and Dusknoir are good tier 5 walls.
Yeah. I think
I think,
like building his team, he was very like offensive in mind.
yeah. I do think if you can prep to like exploit this team's defensive weaknesses, you will have a lot better of a time. So I think it's very dependent on the opponent's prep for this team more than anything else. But at the same time, it's so threatening with the amount of damage output it can have.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be fine.
Very good team. We are excited to see what they do. Okay. Stark Mountain Militix. Let's have a look at what they've got. This team's good. I like this.
See, this
Yeah.
this is another team that I also helped build on the draft day as well. So I know a little bit about it.
First off, Flamigo is there, so that gets bonus points. I love Flamigo.
Chloritzer is there, so bonus points for that.
Yeah.
No, but like
In my
I
view,
think
I was writing this team feels like it was just built for me to like it. It has so many Pokemon that I really like in it.
offensively this team does so much work, and even though defensively it might not be, it has the same problem that Passform had with the double fighting weakness. I feel like you just stack hazards and you use Zapdos and Dragalge and Mega Celix to just live and long enough that you chip them down, and then Flamigo and Cerulege come in and clean.
Yeah, this team has a few fighting weaknesses, but it has some very good fighting resistances and immunities to make up for it. Electrode is a great pivot. Chinchino is like a nice speed tier. It fills a very nice speed gap here between Electrode and Zapdos. Flamigo is very threatening when it gets in. Snorlax is a can take hits while also threatening to set up itself. Same with Dragalge as far as damage output. Samurott Hisui has the progress button with Ceaseless Edge.
And
I think this
knockoff.
team his team looks like one where it will be very hard to get momentum in your favor while you're playing against it. Because it has very good pivot options. So many of its Pokemon get pivot moves.
This team is my next game, and I'm not looking forward to it. But I do have 2 weeks to prepare, and I think I need those 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think
This is a very well-rounded team.
the only issue I would say is that both of the Mons above 100 are not like amazing. You know, there are much better
Yeah.
pivots than Cinccino and Electrode, and so that gap can really get exploited.
Yeah, but like there's options for boosting your speed. You can run weak armor Ceruledge if you want to. You have Flamigo really likes to be run Scarf.
Yeah.
So does Samurott. The only other weakness of this team, or weaker area, I should say, is hazards. It's got Claydol, Dragalge, and Mega Steelix as its setters, and Zapdos and Claydol as its removers. Which means if Claydol isn't coming to a game, you basically have to run Defog Zapdos, or risk getting overrun by Hazard Chip.
Yeah,
It can somewhat bait opponents into running Defog himself with Samurott.
I think it is a
against
team
a
where
hazard team.
your opponents do kind of have to play around you, I think, with this team, because you can make progress and chip them down quite nicely. Any last thoughts before we move on?
Just think it's an overall very good team.
I like how like defensive it is. Like nearly every Pokemon on this team like doesn't mind taking hits, but can still like do like a lot of damage like back.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very, very nice balanced team.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's move on to the Rotom Washers, who don't have a Rotom Wash. Big sad.
They do have a Dragapult. And that just immediately, it's just the best Pokemon in draft right there.
Yeah.
Rotom Wash have they've off licensed their cleaning services to Dragapult, so Dragapult is their cleaner now. This team has this.
Yeah, this is very much a team of two halves.
This is a
offensively, it is terrifying. It's got a very nice mix of speed tiers. There's a bit of a speed gap between 70 and 108, where Pokemon in that range would be happy to go full offense. But so many of its Pokemon hit hard. Even the bulkier Mons, like Bishop and Magneton, hit very hard. But the issue comes down to its weaknesses.
Yeah.
It's not only its weaknesses, it's the weaknesses and the lack of a true wall. Like, you've got Slowbro, but Magneton's not really a true wall. Starmie's not.
Bishop's pretty tanky with EVLI, but it lacks good recovery.
Yeah. Golisopod is the same. Like, this team has a baked-in time limit, and every turn you're running down that time limit.
If Bishop goes down, it will open up a lot of holes. This team has two major issues, and that's ground type weakness, where your only resist is Golisopod, which might not even get to be in for 2 turns because of emergency exit, and the ghost type weakness as well. If you scarf a ghost type to be faster than Dragapult, you can just click Shadow Ball to your heart's content. Because Bishop can only switch in so many times before it gets whittled down.
This team gets absolutely folded by like a Scarf Crocodile.
Yeah.
Scarf Crook or like Scarf Goldengo.
Yeah.
Anything along those lines.
And the other thing is that because a lot of the team relies on Eevee, like knockoff cripples this team.
Yeah, the dark weaknesses plus
and
Eevee
Keldeo doesn't really get anything from Justified.
No, it doesn't, because it's a special attacker. So it's a good special attacker, but
if this was like a Cobalion or a Terrakion, that alone would kind of make people cautious about clicking knockoff. But you don't need to be cautious because once you get rid of those Eviolites or the Specs or the Scarf, this team is, basically disabled and in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I think any team with a strong ground type will do good here. Any team with a strong ground type that can be made to run faster than Keldeo will be especially good.
That's not to say that this team doesn't have potential because offensively, we've already talked about
Yeah,
Marowak,
this is another team
Bishop,
that functions very well offensively. It's
Keldeo.
definitely more of a hyper offense thing.
It
Like
basically comes down to
Dragonball is terrifying. It can be run however you want, setup, specs, utility. Keldeo hits really hard. Offensive Bishop still hits hard. Lola Marowak has a nice stab combination, and well, it's more of a bulky Pokemon than anything else, but it can still be threatening.
yeah,
Golisopod gets nasty first impressions. Glowbro is a very nice mixed attacker,
it's a good AV user as well.
but I think this team can really use with a bulky, non-grounded Pokemon.
Yeah, a Rotom actually would
Basically,
go
a
hard
Mandibuzz.
here.
I'm not giving up my boy Rotom Wash.
I think is there still a Rotom form that's not been picked, even if it's like fan?
Rotom Mo, probably. I think all the Rotom things, except for Oven and Wash, are still available.
Like, honestly, the only weakness of this team is its defensive type coverage. Because offensively, it's got lots of options. It's got plenty of pivot as well with Pull, Magneton, Keldeo, and Starmie. And you
Yeah,
can even teleport on them for slow pivots. You've got a lot of hazard options. Hazard setting with Bishop, Golem, Marowak, Sandslash, and Golisopod.
it
And you've
feels like
got
a team.
two Rapid Spinners.
Feels like a team that if you trade away Golem, and you trade away something else, you can make the team like a really good team.
Yeah. This
So
team
close.
is one that I think is basically resting on the back of Bishop and Dragapult.
Yeah,
Dragapult for your main offensive utility and Bishop for defense. But if you lose Golisopod or Bishop in the game, it opens up so many potential options for attack. But I think
definitely.
the whole team would go after them.
Right, Freddie, cover your ears for a little bit.
Be nice, guys.
Yeah, this team definitely has potential.
Yeah.
I mean, Rotom Wash and
Mega
Mega
Sizzle.
such
Yeah,
a good
those. That's a devastating pair. You've got Rotom Wash to eat the Sizzle weakness, and then you've got Sizzle to eat the Rotom Wash weakness.
It's what I wanted as my core, but I didn't get Wash.
Yeah, you know it's a good call when two different players are trying to make it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Tornadus is fast, gets good utility. Donphan
It's
as
got
well.
Prankster as well.
Salazzle obviously is the most base mon in the universe.
It's the Toxic Mon. You do Toxic. Uxie is a very nice wall. It's very, very budget Cresselia, I think. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Torterra has Torterrafying with Shell Smash. And
Frostlass is a decent. It's like
it's
fast utility.
It's fast utility, like a fast spikes lead kind of thing. Tier 5s, you've got Golduck. Spiritom's a very nice tier 5, and Vikavolt nice for setting up sticky webs and also being a wall breaker. And then also you've got Golduck.
Yeah.
It's just not a fast team, like, at all.
It's not. I was gonna say the only two things I would have to say as a discredit is one, this is a problem. The rock weakness is a problem.
Yeah.
And two, it's not that it's a slow team, is it that there's nothing that's like supremely fast. Because Natdex is a higher speed tier league because of the megas.
Punches help sort of mitigate that a bit. But as far as fast Pokemon would apply a lot of pressure, the moment area on the field, there aren't many options for that. It's still threatening offensively, though. It's got very nice wall breakers and it's got nice setup options.
It could lead into its like lack of speed with Trick Room as well. Like if you picked up like
Mm.
some mods with Trick Room, it could lead into it.
It doesn't really
Scissors
have
are
any
really
trick room
good for that.
abusers though.
Yeah.
Does Oxy not get it?
I mean, no, I'm not
Yeah,
talking about scissors, I'm talking about abusers here.
Yeah, Uxie
Because
gets I
the slow
think.
Pokemon aren't very good offensively. Your main trick room abuser is Vikavolt Volt or Slow Torterra, but then you can't Shell Smash with it.
Yeah.
Bosses off.
Scissors
And
actually really good
25
because
is like faster than a lot of things though. You
it's
can just
faster
get
than a
out
lot of
slowed with
things,
Sizzle.
but anything you're not like, it's in the perfect sweet spot where like it's fast enough to outspeed really slow stuff. Then under Trick Room, it outspeeds everything faster than it. And then
Hmm.
because it's got Bullet Punch, you don't really care about that sometimes anyway.
Yeah.
Overall, I really like this team.
There is one other like actual big problem with this team that I see, and that there is no Ghost Resist and no Dark Resist.
Ooh. Wait, no, you've got Scissor as a Dark Resist.
It doesn't no Steel doesn't resist Dark.
Bug does it not?
Bug doesn't resist Dark.
Oh,
It's
that's weird.
it's offensively good against Dark, but and it means that you can just slap a Specs or a Choice Band on whatever Ghost or Dark type you have, and you are guaranteed to be hitting everything really hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think
I think
a
to learn
strong
that
Dark
way.
type would benefit this team massively.
Either a strong Dark or a good fighting type.
Yeah, a good fighting doesn't mitigate the Ghost weakness though. That's why I said Dark. Because like Spiritomb is the Dark type, but because it's Ghost Dark, it takes neutral from both.
Yeah. Something like a Persian or even Eradicate Alola could be alright in that spot.
Because Rocks, the team's kind of weak to Rock, but like
It's
none
fine.
of its Pokemon that are Rock weak are like that big of an issue. And you've got Donphans and clear hazards, and this team has got loads of good hazard control actually between Pranks of Defog and Tornadoes, Rotom Wash, and Donphan. And you got nice setters with Uxie, Salazzle, Frostlass, Donphan as well. It's another one of the teams that there are a lot of in this conference where it's very good teams, which would be improved by like picking up one trade to sort out its big defensive hole.
Yeah. Brilliant. I think that
Because its
wraps
hazards
up.
are great, its momentum's good, and its defense is good. And it just needs to pick up a Dark and Ghost Resist.
I think that nicely wraps up Conference Shore.
Yeah.
Conference Shore has some
Uh,
teams that are a bit like have a few issues but could become really good with some trades. So it's been going to be interesting to see
The Conference Shore
happens.
has loads of teams that have tons of potential, and I think it will be a lot more interesting to watch as the season goes on and people learn their play style and how their teams work. Before we move on, though, do you have any comments about your team, Freddie?
Well, the dark type I overlooked. I think I need to improve on that immediately. I think, but overall, I was going for heavy hitters with Scissor, Wash, and Tornadoes, sort of rotating between them, and then Salazzle is incredibly based. Yeah, I had to sack off one of my T3 picks to pick him up early. So yeah, I'm an Uxie as well. I really enjoy using Uxie, so I didn't bring her last week, but I think going forward, yeah, I've got certainly some holes I need to patch, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, your team is like a very good pivot into breaking kind of team, and
Sounds
I
good.
look forward to seeing how it'll perform.
That wraps up Conference Shore.